All right. IR4 Patreons, welcome back to episode. It's getting deep now. I mean, 40, 50, I don't know, somewhere in there. A lot of episodes. Unfortunately, our guest today, Courtney Liggins, is not on camera, but he's here with his voice.
That's right.
And it's a beautiful voice, and we're going to have a lot of great questions, a lot of a great conversation, but you have to look at Jeremy and I's ugly mugs today. So without further ado, here is Courtney Liggins with Video Game Technologies, and we're going to jump into it.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm glad to be here and glad to get to talk to you.
Yeah, no, likewise, man. Thanks so much as well for being here. I truly appreciate it. This is going to be really exciting because I just got back from a cruise and I had a lot of experiences with video games and like in the casino world and playing on the computer. So I had tons of questions. But before we really dive in, just give us a little bit of background. How'd you get involved in that very niche, very specific market, which I'm excited to hear more about?
So honestly, it's a funny story how it kind of fell into my lap. I've been in the technical IT recruiting space for the last 6 years. I ended up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I'm not sure what you boys think, but Chattanooga is kind of a small city. I'm one of those like bigger city, just more things to do. BGT reached out to me about an opportunity, and that's kind of how it came about, to be completely honest with you, just trying to get back into the Nashville market.
Sure. Awesome. So Courtney, explain to us what VGT specifically does in the gaming world, because I was going through the website and there's a lot of great information, but you're obviously going to explain it better than I can.
Yeah. So what we do, we are considered a Game 2 industry, meaning we are considered like a bingo gaming type company. So if you were to walk into a casino and see any type of digital touchscreen, I guess slot machine, that it pretty much probably came from VT. We are the number one gaming casino company in the world. We were recently, I guess took it over by ATI. We were about them, and so we joined forces in business with them. So now not only are we here in Franklin, Tennessee, we also sit in Vegas. We sit in Sydney, Australia. We sit in India. We sit in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We sit in Reno, and we're also in South Carolina.
Amazing. So
are you guys, I know before we got on camera, you mentioned the software, but you also do the hardware element, right? So you have the technical hardware for all the machines, but then you guys also program it, or do you outsource that?
No, we do all that. So that's called cabinets. So we actually make the cabinets as well. So we have mechanical engineers here that do all the mechanical stuff that works inside for it, spitting out tickets, for your vouchers when you do win. We do all that in house.
Wow. So do you guys have to go through like a Ocean's 11 type of background check so you can't rig the machines?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
it's hilarious.
We're definitely looked at very core in our industry for sure.
So what about the actual online games? Do you so there's the online poker. Do you guys do anything with that type of stuff?
So we don't do it. We're more in-house, sitting actually in the casinos or sitting on boats.
Okay. And what is your role with the company? Are you on the software side of things, or are you actually building the cabinets?
So I'm either. I actually sit in our HR office, so I'm one of the leaders here for the business. So I don't do either or. But we should definitely do this again. Maybe I can get some guys that actually do the software development and some of the guys that do actually the hardware, mechanical side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's I was reading Game 2 or Schedule 2 or something like that. What was it called?
Gaming 2. So yeah, that's when I first started. We're in the Gaming 2 space. So Gaming 2 just means we're more considered on the bingo space, electronic. Look at it like electronic bingo. Okay. And then you have your Gaming 3, which would be what you're thinking of, maybe card games, poker, blackjack, things like that.
Right. Okay. So you guys aren't technically regulated by, because I know in Tennessee where we're at now, we don't have any casinos. So you're not really regulated by authorities, who are regulating casinos. You're just providing them with the machinery.
Right, right. Which people get it. It's hard to explain until we work for a gaming casino company because we don't play any casino games in Tennessee. But like I said, we just make the product and we distribute it all across the world.
Sure.
Okay.
Tell us more about the, because that's a really good question, Brian, about like the measures that are taken, the background checks that are taken to make sure you're not rigging the games. How does that work? Who's in charge of doing that, and how in depth does it go? I mean, do they go far, far back to make sure you've never committed any felonies, or like what does that look like?
So that's a little difficult question, I guess, for me to answer, but that's not really done through the business here. So once it's kind of like we rent our product out to casinos. So realistically, they own the product once we sell it to them. So they are still responsible. If they were stealing or something were happening, they would be responsible. We wouldn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. No, it makes total sense.
So they get the technical. I don't say something that I don't know full answers to.
Sure.
But we're not regulated. We don't do things like that just because we're making the product, and so once that is being done, we actually distribute that product or whatnot, and it goes from there.
Do you have a lot of? Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
Well, it is a good piggyback question. Are you guys servicing the actual equipment too? So like, VGT's flying out to Vegas and like doing whatever they need to do with machinery, or are they shipping it back here and this is headquarters here?
No, so we have service technicians. So if the machine goes down, we do have someone that goes on site to fix those machines.
That's cool.
That is.
Sorry,
wow.
Jeremy.
No, you're good, man. You're totally good. Because I was going to ask Courtney regarding the apps on your phone. There's a lot of these casino game apps that like people don't actually spend money towards, they spend money, but they get fake tokens. They don't win real tokens. Do you work in that space at all, or will you make any kind of game at all?
I guess we're a small presence in that space, but that's definitely hardcore in Vegas, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You guys take any cryptocurrencies for payment?
But you want to hop? So I have my VP of HR sitting here with me as well. He just walked into my office.
Nice.
So he would know more about the business on that aspect. So you want to answer that?
So
Mike Sprague, by the way, guys.
Nice.
Mike Sprague. Shout out to Mike.
So VGT does not have social gaming, so like mobile gaming.
Mm-hmm.
However, parent company, Aristocrat, has a big social gaming app called Heart of Las Vegas, and you can download that onto your phone. Additionally, we've recently acquired 3 separate companies, social gaming companies. One's Polarium, the other's Big Fish, and the third is Product Madness, and that's what they do. They're into the world of digital gaming.
Okay. So why did you acquire those 3 in particular? What was interesting about those companies, or they have a vision or some type of game that was really interesting that you thought was important to have under your portfolio?
I think it's because of adjacencies to a certain degree. The land-based operations, and plus that's a space that will be really growing over the next few years.
Awesome. So Jeremy and I were in California, and we were at a casino. This was back in December, and I personally like rolling the dice and seeing the wheel spin, playing those type of games. But everything they had out there where it was traditional table games, it was video. So the roulette wheel didn't really have a ball that spun. It was all electronic, and then they would pull a card from the deck with a barcode on it and run the barcode. It was really weird. I never saw it before. It freaked me out. But is that something you guys do as well, or do you strict to, like, I'm looking on your website, some of these games, the X-Splin video, the C6 video, live call bingo, is it strictly in that part of the gaming world, or are you also doing some of those table games because I've never seen those before. That was my first time.
Well, without taking up too much time, VGT is strictly tribal gaming, so we're purely Class 2. That's where we are I guess our business space is, and what we are is we're not slot machines. What we really are is electronic bingo. That is
Electronic bingo.
So we are technically electronic bingo, and the game is actually what people euphemistically refer to as slots. Is really an electronic bingo game. For VGT it is anyway. So when you push the button to start the machine, what you're actually doing is having a ball drop, starting a ball drop, and the reels that are spinning reflect whether or not you achieve certain patterns, just the same as you would on the old ball call or bingo halls. So you have, the X's and the outside edges and the chevrons, and based on the number of balls that it takes to achieve that pattern as a reflection on whether or not there's a payment. So the creels, I should say, the creels reflect the payment for the pattern that you've achieved.
That is so interesting. Do you guys have anyone on your team that creates proprietary versions of those games?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Nice.
That is very fascinating. So Brian had a question earlier. Does your company or any of the companies that you have acquired recently, do they accept cryptocurrencies as payments, or do they give out payments in cryptocurrencies?
No, not at this moment.
No. Is there a future for that, you think?
I don't think in the near future. I mean, who would have bet against cryptocurrency 5 years ago, right? So at this point, no. But I'm sure the world changes faster than we can keep up. So who knows?
Sure. Totally. You have a question, Brian? Go ahead.
Yeah. Did I read somewhere that you guys started from a riverboat? That was your first, or am I just seeing that somewhere?
That's a really old iteration of this company. The actual VGT company didn't. That was I think 2 or 3 iterations of the company ago.
Gotcha.
But I'll stand corrected, but I don't think so.
Sure.
Okay.
Very valid question. We
did start from a garage, though, right?
I don't know the exact history, but I think it started in North Carolina, maybe, or South Carolina. And I think there was, and I think the first sort of rebirth company, it could have been Riverboats, but I don't know. I don't know that factually. But certainly for the last 20 years, absolutely not.
Gotcha.
So cool. you guys definitely have the market cornered based on what you're saying. But where's this space going, Courtney? Where do you think? I mean, if you're trying to get ahead of the competitors, you already have the best product. You already have all the resources. You have the software element behind it. What's next for just this space? Not so much about VGT, but where in this space is it moving into?
I would say, I mean, let's be honest, software developers, there's all types of software things that you can develop. It's just honestly getting the people that are enthusiastic about being in the gaming industry, you know what I mean? Like, I feel, me personally, I'm not sure you guys' thought, but Nashville, I personally don't think is a big software hub IT spot yet. I think it's becoming one, especially for us. And I said that, let me rephrase that, for what we need, because we kind of sit on a platform, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are, but we sit on C++. And so a lot of our development is coming from that. So if you think about it, a lot of newer cats or guys out here, they're not learning C++ anymore.
That's
you know what I mean? I thought C++ was a pretty universal language.
It's one of those things, it's becoming obsolete almost. Everyone's doing more of like Java, JavaScripting, things like that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Courtney, because truly that was one of my next questions, was in relation to the people that you're hiring. I was going to say, what are you looking for? So you're looking for skill sets in C++ coding. what's kind of like an example of some interviews that you would ask or interview questions you would ask a coder, or do you make them code and then give you an example? Because I've never been interviewed by like someone in that. I have no idea. I just no clue. So do you need like a product? How do you know that they can code?
So I'm not involved in that prospect or that aspect of the interviewing, but what we do here, one of the teams, they do like a whiteboard type coding type aspect.
Mm-hmm.
They do ask, I guess, courses related to programming. There are some, I guess in the past we have done quizzes, tests, like a software test that we've sent out before to see, their experience and level of coding.
Sure.
So there's all type of ways, but I'm not on the technical side exactly of what they do and how they do it.
Sure.
So, Courtney, you did hit the nail on the head, though. Nashville is becoming some type of a technology space. And we've had some pretty awesome interviews with a lot of different people that live in the area in the technology space. And I think, healthcare technology is advancing. The video game casino world, not online, but the bingo, electronic bingo, I'm sure will be advancing, or you guys may start looking at Java programmers and whatnot. And I don't want to tangent line from this because I think this conversation right now is important to our viewers, and this is what they like to hear. But I did have one question in regarding to the legality, and it's not that hard, but so my dad runs 4 casinos up in Ohio. They have table games, they have the video games, but they do, since it's state ran, it's not a Cherokee or Native American ran type casinos up there. It's all state driven. They actually have task force agencies that go into like truck stops that have those video poker machines or video games like that, and they bust them, and people can get in big trouble for doing that. How do you guys ensure that you're not wholesaling or selling to those people and your clientele are getting the video games or the units with the cabinets to that destination? Or how do you monitor all of that, the logistical aspect of what you're putting out into the world?
So we have our industry is extremely regulated, highly regulated with our compliance people. And it's one thing, first of all your boxes are sent out by our trucks. So our trucks go to the various tribal casinos. Secondly, unlike a Class 3 machine, because it is bingo, by definition, you have to play against somebody.
Yeah.
So you have to be hooked up to our server. And last but not least, all of the software that is loaded onto a box is taken by a compliance officer to the compliance team within the casino, who then load up the equipment. Nothing is impossible. It's virtually impossible.
Sure. Wow. Okay. So you made an interesting statement. So this is one of my takeaways. Are you able to tell me the different types then? Because you mentioned there's level class 3, class 2. What are the other classes, and what are they like?
Yeah, good question.
There's 3 classes. Class 1 is traditional Indian gaming, so something like lacrosse would be an example. And they don't typically involve betting. That's class 1. Class 2 is electronic bingo, and then class 3 gaming is where your Vegas, Macau, Ohio type machines. And what sets them apart typically from our machines, and I'm not an expert, so take this with the good intention of delivering it, is that they are not server-based. Each machine, each unit has its own separate number generator that acts independently, and that the creels on a Class 3 game are actually the determinant of the payout, whereas Class the creels are a reflection of the outcome of the pattern achieved.
Sure.
Interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was going to say, is there a way, based on the algorithms being ingrained in the code, is there, obviously you'd have to have access to the code, so there's firewalls there, but if someone were to breach that and they figured out the algorithms, they could essentially beat the odds, if you will.
Well, you're talking to the HR guy, not the, not the tech guy. But here's what I'll tell you. I'm sure people have spent a lifetime trying to figure out how to do what you're describing.
Of course.
And I can tell you that nothing like that's ever even come close.
Gotcha.
Well, that's why you guys are the best in the business, right?
That's right.
Now, what about Keno? Have you ever heard of Keno?
Yep.
Is that not the same type of game that you guys would build?
No.
How is that different from regular? Because I think Ohio has it. I know Michigan definitely has it. But if you're sitting in a restaurant or a bar and grill and you're playing against other people, how is that game different from yours?
I can't explain. I cannot verbalize differences, but I can tell you that for sure, Keno is a separate animal to the VGT Class 2 games.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fair. In relation to fantasy sports, gentlemen, Courtney, Mike, how is DraftKings and FanDuel affecting or changing the industry? And is it good or is it bad in your opinion?
We haven't really felt the impact of it.
Yeah, not since I've been here at least. I hadn't felt it.
We haven't felt the impact of it all because it's going to be sports books that are being impacted by it. It's the sports books, not there are people who are card players. There are people that are dice players. There are people that are electronic bingo machine players.
Right.
Excuse me, and I'm not saying they don't morph back and forth, but they're pretty some group of people.
Yeah, I mean, think about the crowd. If you just think about it without even saying, think about the crowd of people that sit at a slot machine compared to a table.
Yeah,
and that's bizarre. That's bizarre. I don't understand. Just because there's some type of element of control in table games or something like that, but really, when you're just going and playing that machine, I mean, you have no idea what is the brains behind that game and what makes it, win or lose. So right. you're putting your faith to a button versus maybe, grabbing and throwing dice.
Right. And I would disagree with you a little bit in as much as the people that play our games, people that play not the casual drop a quarter in as you walk by, but people that play them. All of our games have a bingo card on the front of them, and you can see that the players don't watch the reels. The players that play, they watch the bingo card, and they watch the ball drops. They understand our games very, very clearly. They know exactly what's going on.
Okay.
And it says you're in over 170 different 120 different locations. Where can some people find some of your games at? So next time they're in, on a tribal casino, they're like, oh, there's that VGT group.
Well, we're in Oklahoma, which is where we have where we're most prominent. Any casino you go to will have a lot of VGT games. And
nice.
I would say that we have a red topper on a majority of our games. So it's like a red light topper that is on. So that sort of sets us apart from some of the others. And our goal is we're moving some into Washington State as well as into California, Northern California.
Gotcha. Well, congratulations. That's huge. And one additional question that you may or may not know the answer to, but I think you probably will. How does the licensing or the franchising work for games when you have like a Dolly Parton or Britney Spears and that's their name, that's their makeup, and it's Dolly Parton's game and you're playing that slot machine, but you're playing, Dolly Parton slots. How much does she get out of that? Because she got to be getting paid something.
Wheel of Fortune, Game of Thrones, and all sorts of groups. And it's a licensed agreement just like everyone else. Box of Wheaties, you pay a licensing agreement, and that agreement varies from group to group, and each one of them is unique and special to the negotiation process.
Wow, they're uniquely designed. I mean, that makes sense, but
And are you guys building those units in house here at the warehouse, or are you ordering certain parts, bringing them in, and you guys are assembling?
The box itself is sent in, and then we assemble from the box.
Awesome. And how many employees does VGT have?
Over 600.
Oh, what was that?
Over 600.
600.
Oh my gosh,
that's fantastic. How's the employee retention? Is it great?
It's actually really low. It's great here. I think we do really well. We had an HR meeting yesterday, and we're sitting at like 3%. What was it? 3 something.
Wow, 3. Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah, not to leave. I mean, we also have cool little perks like we cater lunch to every day, Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So one day we may have Chick-fil-A. The next day, I don't know, we may have what's that Asian place that we eat? Panda Express. Like all types of things are here. Yeah. Sure.
That's awesome. So out of those 600 employees, how many are actually doing all the software elements to it? Coding and whatnot.
Yeah, I would say somewhere a little above 150.
Oh, good. That's a big chunk.
Yes.
But I would say that's including all of IT, like network, IT, software.
Right.
Like that's just all, if that makes sense to you.
Just to go back, shouldn't you? I think what creates us having a really positive retention numbers is the fact that we have a very strong culture, both from a behavior standpoint and culture. We set certain expectations that we all live by, and because of that, we have a very open door relationship with our folks, with our behaviors and our values really guiding everything we do. So our behaviors and values are absolutely paramount to how we run our business every day. And I think what happens is that people come here and, like yourself, have read our webpage and so on. And the comment I get most frequently is, not only do you guys have it as your banner, but you actually live it. And I would say that more than anything, and we have all the stuff like other technology companies. We have community gardens and bring your dog to work, and casual attire and so on. But really, what separates us apart from everyone is the values and behaviors that we expect everyone to live by and operate in.
That's great. So, and that website for all of our listeners is vgt.net. Phenomenal website, very simple, very clean.
Great domain name.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know when you guys got that, but that's probably worth quite a bit.
Yeah.
Class 2 games located on most tribal North America. It says Native American bingo-based gaming. They're in 140 different locations across the U.S. You heard from Michael say Washington State, Northern California. So you West Coast listeners, be on the lookout for those red toppers. Jeremy, anything else you got?
Guys, that was super. I mean, I know nothing about that world, so if I asked any kind of like layman questions, I apologize. But that was really was exciting. Thank you.
No, I would like to hop back on another call with you guys in the future, maybe with one of the developers, if I can get them to do it. They can explain more on the technical side for the technical listeners that didn't get the answers that they needed, or feel free to reach out to me at any point.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. So for our listeners, we are going to start bringing the second round guests on. So get ready for those lineups, because I know we always like following up with people, and Courtney, we're definitely going to do so today. Thank you very, very much for the time and information. This was informative. It was a blast. Yes. I enjoyed it, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us.
My pleasure. All right, you guys stay strong in Tennessee. You guys rock.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
See you guys.